Hello and welcome to Perception Media. I'm your hostess, the Cine Geek, and today I'm going to be talking about a lesser-known 80s film called Lucas. So we meet Lucas, played by Corey Haim, who at the time was 13, though he's playing a very intelligent, advanced 14-year-old in high school who's like awkward and kind of nerdy. And he befriends Maggie, played by Carrie Green, and she's a 16-year-old who's just moved into town, although at the time I believe she was a little bit older, like 17 or 18, and you might recognize her from The Goonies. In this film, we also have a very young Charlie Sheen playing Cappy, and a 13-year-old Winona Ryder in her debut film, and she plays a character named Rena. So Lucas and Maggie, as I said, meet and befriend over the summer, and they hang out throughout the entirety of the summer, and they have fun. They collect bugs, and they they sneak into classical music concerts and do all sorts of shenanigans. And when school starts back up, Maggie sees that Lucas is really bullied by the football team, and he kind of acts kind of like a class clown, so that people aren't really laughing at him, and he kind of lashes out by calling anyone who does any kind of athletics and sports or any stuff like that, or anything he doesn't really like, he calls them superficial. And Maggie starts becoming superficial when she joins the cheerleading, kind of to Lucas's disappointment. And Maggie ends up getting very close to Cappy, who is kind of his protector. Cappy kind of stands up for Lucas when the other people on the football team are bullying him. And Maggie and Cappy end up beginning to date when Cappy breaks up with his girlfriend, who broke up with him because she can tell that he really likes Maggie. And this ends up really hurting Lucas. And I will get back to why I think that's actually really acceptable. So he tries to join the football team to kind of prove that he can be athletic and kind of look more appealing, and the football team just bullies him even more, and he has a lot of trouble actually joining the football team because the coach doesn't want him to. And then the principal, who I really like in this movie, not like Ferris Bueller or The Breakfast Club, this principal actually seems very realistic and very open-minded and cool. I like this principal. And he doesn't let him join the football team, and he just gets more and more upset by everything that's happening. And he ends up kind of running away after telling both Maggie and Cappy to just leave him alone. And he runs under this underpass for a freeway, and Maggie follows him and confronts him, and they have a conversation basically where Lucas asks her why he doesn't like her, and she says she doesn't really know. He's only 14, and he said that age really shouldn't make a difference. Children, yes, age does make a difference, and yes, it should make a difference. And he says, it relates back to Darwin, saying that he doesn't have what a female would view as being attractive because he's not, at a physical peak. And I don't know. I guess that's kind of a typical answer. He's looking for logic and something that, might not really be logical. And, oh gosh, he ends up running the next day, running to the football field and playing in the game and getting a very serious concussion. And then some things happen and stuff gets put into a different perspective retroactively, and this makes the movie, for me, take an entirely different turn. So Cappy, Maggie, and Rena all go to, because they can't reach Lucas's parents on the phone, they go to his house. And so when Maggie first meets him over the summer, Lucas is gardening. He's on a giant lawnmower thingy, and he tells her that he lives in the house, which is very large and beautiful, and that he's just helping out the gardener. And he doesn't want to give his phone number because he says it's unlisted, and that his parents are very superficial and they don't want people calling the house. And they don't come to the school the parents' night because they're really superficial and they're busy. And then we learned that house, that nice house that he was gardening, that's not where he lives. And he was gardening because that's where he works. And he actually lives in a trailer park with his father, who's an alcoholic. And when we go think back to that scene where after he and Maggie have argument at the underpass on the freeway, the scene cuts to him lying down in this field by a stream with one of the bottles that he uses to catch bugs in. And it's pretty obvious that he slept there that night. And it's just the most heartbreaking thing when you realize this poor 14-year-old who's, being bullied at school is also not getting like any kind of love or affection at home, and that he's acting out kind of this way because of that. And it's really sad. Oh my gosh, this kid's just, he's not getting any breaks. And at the end of the day, I really like this film. It's like 16 Candles meets Pretty in Pink, but it does a better job than both of them, because this film, it shows these teenagers as stereotypes, but at the end of the day, they're not just the stereotypes. They're actually people. Lucas is kind of the Ducky or Farmer Ted, while Cappy and Maggie are Sam and Jake. Cappy as Jake is the very popular, the athletic guy who's dating the really sexy tall blonde, but breaks up with her to go out with the kind of less attractive redhead in Maggie/Sam, much to the nerd, in this case Ducky, or Farmer Ted's chagrin. But like in going to Pretty in Pink, unlike Ducky, Lucas doesn't have this like annoying kind of immature reaction to kind of strike back. He tells both, I'm getting names mixed up now. He tells both Maggie and Cappy to leave him alone. He just doesn't want anything to do with them. And I think that makes sense. That's not being a bratty 14-year-old. He is just 14. And he's skipped grade, so he'd probably be in 8th grade. And he doesn't want to be around people who, unintentionally hurt his feelings. He understands, but it still hurts. And you can't control your feelings, you know what I mean? Like, Maggie was his first crush and his friend, and Cappy was his friend too. And if you have people who are your friends and they get together and they kind of know that you're into one of them, that is a little bit, it does feel like a betrayal. I don't care how old you are. And especially for him, since he is so young, that definitely, like, I think he handled himself pretty well given his age. And at the end of the day, there's kind of really no winners. Lucas doesn't end up with the girl. Rena, who obviously really likes Lucas, they don't end up together. At the very end, Lucas gets a little bit of respect from the sports, like the football team. He gets a jacket, but he's not part of the team. I think that's why I said that these stereotypes are people, because I think once you might bully someone, but when you see like they actually got hurt or something like that, or you can see you went too far or something, I think that's a point where in real life most people would pull back and say, okay, we need to stop. Most people. There are some horrible people out there, but I think most people would, pull back and realize that it's not okay to continue that sort of behavior. I hope. So anyway, I love Lucas. I think of, 80s kind of coming of age stories, this is one of the really good ones. And it's one of those movies that in retrospect, once you get to the end and you learn some things, it puts it in a different perspective, which makes it really sad, because this movie's just about this poor lonely kid. And you really root for Lucas. Like, I don't know. I thought he's a little bit brattier than I was at his age, but I could certainly see most 14-year-olds really relating to him. And even today, I don't see any bit of this film really having like it aged well. At the end of the day, it aged very well. It's still very relatable. And really a good film. So thank you for watching my 90s kid review of Lucas. Have a wonderful day, and we totally need a Moon Knight movie. Bye.